Hey Bucks, this is Taylor Meeks coming from Buc News One. This was a major week for our school sports teams. Our softball team had a major win against Savannah Christian with a score of 20-12. And the same night, our volleyball team had a historic win against Savannah Classical with scores of 25-11 and 25-15. And don't forget to come out and support our Bucks Friday night at BHS. And now I want to give it to Patience and Jacob.
I was a tree. So the Amazon rainforest is currently on fire right now due to flash burning and flash clearing, and it's been on fire for about a couple of weeks now. It's on fire because of the Brazilian government has lowered the environmental standards due to they are a bit greedy. Wait, hold on. That's right. The Amazon rainforest is a very important part of the earth and oftentimes is considered to be the earth's lungs since it produces about 20% of the world's oxygen. By the way, oxygen is important. So, gotta remember that. Because without oxygen is without us. So, what countries are doing to try to solve the problem is that they're completely boycotting most of the shipments and stuff that comes out of Brazil to try to convince them to, hey, stop burning your most valuable thing to the world, and then we'll start buying your stuff again. That's their thought process. Brazil is currently not really doing anything about it. So I guess that's about all. Come back next week and I'll talk about how Chinese people are getting a bit mad over their government. So.
Recently, there were 2 hit and runs that led in 1 incapacitated and 1 death. The people were very terrified at the fact that there were a lack of lights in this very junction of the city. The people asked the city council to install more lights so that these incidents won't occur more frequently in the future. The city council has considered this option, but they are unable to figure out when the construction lights start. We all remember Miss Hunt, right? The lovable teacher with the heart as pure as gold and a soul as pure as feathers, right? Well, her 90th birthday had passed this past summer, and also she was asked to sing the Pledge of Allegiance for the City Council recently. And the City Council thought her singing was amazing. To be graced with such an amazing person has asked to do such a thing, which she didn't have to do, but we all know Miss Hunt. She's the most lovable person on earth. So she applied, she sung, and they said to be in the presence of such an amazing person with amazing pipes has been a gift from God himself. The race for Darien's new mayor and councilman is underway. While in the North Ward we have 1 man running, for the South Ward we have several, including females, males, old and young. Throughout this ballot, the race will be kind of cut short for the North Ward because of the fact that there's only 1 man running, and if it continues this way, then he will automatically win. For the South Ward, it's kind of neck and neck with the approval rates as it goes. October 15th will be the day of voting from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So if you're able to vote, which I'm pretty sure only seniors really could, you might as well get your vote in because you got a voice now, and who knows if you're going to keep it. Honey, I'm trash.
Thank you, Patience and Jacob. Here are some things to look out for. If you would like to see any of your images in this year's yearbook, please send them to Miss Walden. MCA is also hosting an all-new responsibility challenge where one person from each grade level will receive a hoodie and a gift card. One person over the entire school will even be able to win a hoodie, a gift card, and a Chromebook. Let's not forget, Bucks, homecoming is October 19th, and tickets are $10 now and will be $15 at the door. MCA also has an all-new competitive gaming club. If you have any interest of joining that, please see Mr. Holland. Now, here's a drama piece by Heaven and Ashley.
You are Mr. Renfield, aren't you?
Yes. Miss me. Lovely lady. Won't you go away from here? You are not safe. The master is coming for you. Nosferatu is on his way. Nosferatu! Nosferatu! Nosferatu!
Thank you, Heaven and Ashley, for putting that together for us. Here's Mr. Todd with our next piece.
18 years ago this week, America was struck by tragedy. Sadly, many of our high schoolers never lived through that tragedy as they weren't old enough. But faculty and staff here at MCA have. We were lucky enough to have Taylor and Bree go around and talk to those faculty about what they experienced on September 11th, 2001, and where they were.
I was teaching a high school class at Parkview High School in Gwinnett County. Got news that something happened, so we actually turned the TV on. We had a TV with cable in our room. We were able to turn it on and watch the events unfold as the second plane crashed into the tower. A student of mine in class that day that watched her uncle die, he was in one of the towers that fell. So very, something that just can't imagine the horror and the panic that set through in the life-altering event.
10 years ago today actually was my first day back to work. I just had knee surgery, and at the time I worked for Airborne Express, getting ready to go to the academy. I was at work, listened to the radio station. They said, they mentioned that a plane had struck the tower. So got to the next stop, ran in, telling them turn the TV on, turn the TV on. By the time we turned the TV on, saw a second plane crash into the towers. And throughout that morning, the towers set fire, they burned.
At the time when it happened, I was actually pregnant with my son, Matthew. And so I started having my first early contractions with him when we actually got the memo that we had been under attack and had been attacked. So it was a quite interesting day.
I was in 6th grade and I was in my science class and we were just doing school, and then my teacher, I just noticed that all the teachers were kind of like meeting outside, and then our teacher came inside and they turned on the TVs, and we were able to see that the Twin Towers, at that time it was after both of them had been hit. I mean, we were 11, so we didn't really realize the magnitude of what happened, but we knew that it was something terrible. And I was here in Georgia, so even though it was far away, we just all kind of sat quietly, and my teacher, she prayed for the people, and then our parents came and got us. I remember that. My dad came and picked us up.
Would have been in 6th grade, first year at my middle school. I just remember being pulled out of my classroom and not understanding what the sudden urgency was. My mom pulled me out of class. She was hurriedly driving back to work, saw that all the parents were picking up all of the students. Mom, what is going on? Why is everybody being taken out of school? And I was like, where are we leaving? Is there a hurricane? Because it was in September and we may have to leave. And I was like permanently leave? Like, I didn't, I'm like 11 years old. I didn't really know what was going on. There was the TV and she turned the TV on and she was like, just watch the TV. It was on like CNN or MSNBC, and it was the first plane crashing into the trade towers. At that point, the second plane had not crashed into it, and I just remember I was like, where, oh my gosh. I had literally, the year before Christmas, taken my first trip to New York City, or gone to the train towers and visited. So I knew exactly what it was, I knew exactly where it was, but I didn't know why. Nothing had happened like this since Pearl Harbor, really.
I was stationed at Mayport, Florida, with HSO 46, the Grandmasters, the helicopter squadron in the U.S. Navy, and we were actually in the middle of preparing to get our detachment to go deploy. It was going to be about 3 months. And then that day happened. Everyone got called in. We were all, on vacation and stuff. We all got called in. We're like, what's going on? I remember walking into the shop, and on the news I saw an airplane basically slamming into the side of the tower. And then I saw another one where there was remnants of the Pentagon. And we had some people in our squadron that were actually at the Pentagon. So we were like, whoa, what's going on? And the next thing I know, we have all the aircraft are grounded, the civilian aircraft, and we started launching all of our aircraft and putting our machine guns on them and our Hellfire rockets, and basically patrolling around up and down the coast, I guess in case anything else was to happen. And then we deployed like 4 days later. So we went from like getting ready to deploy for 3 months to we deployed in less than a week, and we were gone for about 10 months.
Well, I was in another life. Okay, I was a manager at a Target store in Columbus, Ohio. My side of the store had the electronics side, so I was managing that side of the store and walked by the televisions that we had on display and looked up and saw this going on. At first I thought I was looking at a movie and kept kind of looking back at the TV as I walked by and realized that was the Today Show broadcasting. Had stayed on past 9 o'clock to broadcast and started showing that, so I started putting some of the other TVs onto like CNN and things like that just to see how real it was. And even at first I still thought it was just like a small plane that maybe have crashed into those things. And then as the day went on, our actual district manager had called us and said that he couldn't get back from Minneapolis, where Target's home base was, and called us and said, I can't get back because all the flights were grounded. And then it just became real what was going on, and it was just crazy to think about that. It kind of became our generation's Pearl Harbor moment. You wondered, is something like this ever going to happen to us? And there it was. It's hard to believe it's been 18 years, but yet it seems like it's still fresh in our minds, and it should be, because it was such a tragedy.
Well, I was just explaining that to my students, is that I was teaching 8th grade at that time. I was coming up from the breezeway that connected the two buildings, and a fellow teacher had told me, hey, a plane hit the World Trade Center. And I thought, wow, what a tragedy, what a horrible mistake. I didn't, at that point, no, I don't think anybody really realized that this was a terrorist attack. But by the time I got up to the library, they had it on television that a second plane had hit. And then at that point, I knew that this was not a coincidence, that this was not just a mistake or an accident, that this was an actual terrorist attack. And I spent the rest of the day watching the events unfold with my students, explaining to them in the best way I could as to what was happening, the history behind Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden, that I had just become aware of him within the past year. So I gave them the best information that I could and tried to ease their fears and anxiety, because there was a lot of uncertainty. There was really no idea at that point the scope, the limit of what was going to happen that day. It was a profound day that had a profound effect on me, that's never been the same since. As an American, I've never felt the same since.
For me, I was in 5th grade at Todd Grant. I remember us getting the news about the first plane going in the first tower, and us watching on TV as the second plane went in the second tower, and then the news breaking about the Pennsylvania field and the Pentagon. In 1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt once said on the day following Pearl Harbor that December 7th would be a day that would live on in infamy. For many of us in our generation, that day is September 11th.
Thank you. Let's remember everybody who is affected by that tragedy. That pretty much wraps up this week's show, and we look forward to putting out more shows for you in the future.